Now I would like to talk about this Cadillac project. What parts I'm going to use and I have used, that's what I'm going to show you. Let's start with the wheels and the axles. So what my idea was initially is to improve the performance and the speed and the power of this car. And what I did was adding power. I added an extra battery. The factory battery was a regular AA battery and it had 3 units in it. I added one more unit and it went really fast. It was fun to play with, but in the end the plastic gears like this went down. It was destroyed because it was too powerful, and those plastic gears were not supposed to use with that much power. Then what I did was order new plastic gears and try to fit them into the gearbox that car had, and I actually managed to find a good gear relationship, and I was able to fit it on this small metal bar. And what it was doing is actually it was imitating the same mechanism, but in the end I encountered with the same problem. The gears didn't last long, they were just destroyed. The gear ratio was different. I tried different gear ratios. I was able to fit other gears, like smaller ones, bigger ones, and in the end the same thing happened. I thought by replacing small gears with bigger ones or vice versa would help me keep this car running, but it didn't help me. So after doing some research, I thought it would be interesting to try actually to uh, fit into this car another mechanism. And what I came up with after searching in the internet is to buy this axle. It's a very cheap axle. It has plastic gears in it, and I was able to take these wheels, modify them a little bit. I had to do a different hole in it. I was able to fit it on it because this axle has also fittings, plastic fittings where you can put on the wheels, and with the bolts I was able to fix to make a good connection with the axle, so that with higher speeds these wheels would resist the movement. And it actually worked fine, but it worked for a very short time because the shafts that goes in this shaft actually has a plastic gear on it, and it just broke down. So this is another axle with the shaft going into it. Inside you have metal bearings and metal gears, but this one had plastic ones. They look the same, but they're sold at a different price. So this one was destroyed, and what I did initially was to disassemble this factory mechanism. I removed it. There was a plastic box with gears on it. I removed it. I looked at the size of the axle before I bought it actually, and I found out that it was a perfect fit. You see, I could fit it on it using bolts, and it already has a place where you can bolt them. So I bolted it on the chassis, on the body, and in the batteries compartment there was enough space to put this motor, and with the shaft inside of this. And what happened was that this uh, electrical motor with the shaft was connected to this axle, like this, and it was providing a lot of power. So with the 3 batteries it was running fine, but then I tried to apply more voltage because I wanted to have a lot of fun with it. So I applied these two batteries, which is 3.7 volts each. So I gave 7.4 power to this axle, and it just burned out. The gears were destroyed. Actually, also in order to fit this in, I cut this shaft out, which is meant to be for a four-wheel drive car. It's actually a spare part for a big truck. I'll provide the links to all those items. But as I wanted a car with the only two-wheel drive, I had to cut the shaft, the front shaft out, and leave the steering mechanism, a factory leading mechanism as it is, because it's a very difficult mechanism to modify. So I thought I would start with the rear part. And so the idea now is to put this new axle with the metal bearings and see how it works. So you can see here that as the compartment for batteries was filled in with the electrical motor, I put the batteries on top and used these iron lithium batteries. They are, as you can see, much bigger than the regular AA batteries, and they are more powerful, and they actually need less space inside of the car, so they're very practical. And for that also I needed a casing for the battery case, which is inserted like this, and here you go. You can have two of them. So here I have two of them fitted like this. All this wiring is a bit complicated, but I'll show you how it's done and how it's all organized. So I hope that the metal gears will work well. Also, my next idea would be to replace these wheels with the bigger ones, and why I'm doing that is to increase the speed of the car. Actually, the original wheels of these ones, these wheels come with this axle. You can buy them separately, but I thought that would be an interesting idea. So you'll get like a very interesting car design. Also, you get like this huge wheel with a small wheel, like those racing cars, you know, which compete on short distances. I think also the idea is that this car can drive on sand, because with the small wheels it couldn't move on the sand. It could only move on regular surfaces. With this wheel I hope it will also be fun to drive on the sand. But it was really fast, this car. It could actually do tricky movements, and it was very fun to drive. I hope I can restore this car. I mean, actually I'm sure I can restore this car because it already worked with these wheels, but just the gears got destroyed, and I'm just gonna change them, and we'll see what the results is gonna be. When I bought these batteries, I also had to buy a charger, which is very practical. It can be adapted to different battery size. You can put it like this, charge it, or you can use this battery. And put it here. You can charge them at the same time. So this charger is important. You have to have this charger if you're gonna update these cars with these batteries. They're not very popular in some places, and not widely used in regular devices. And one of the advantages of this charger is that it can also be used as power bank. If you leave these batteries inside, you can connect your phones and other devices via USB port, and actually charge those devices. So you charge this battery and then you discharge it by charging another device. It's an interesting thing. I'll leave the link to that. Also, what kind of electrical motors can be used here? You can use small ones, bigger ones. If you want to order any, I take some of the electrical motors from the devices I have at home, which get used a lot and get worn out, but you can still use some parts. So, for example, this is a shaving machine, an electrical motor. I can use them. And this is also another motor from another device, so you don't have to buy those. And in order to feed the motors on the cars, which are not meant to be used with other motors, you can use just regular metal uh, parts that are sold at any store for home repairs. If you choose something that has a very thin metal, you can play with it. You can convert it into some other forms, bend them, and adapt them onto these cars. That's what I did when I tried to fit this part on this Cadillac. I just bent it, found some place to bolt it on it, and also bought some bolts and nuts, which are pretty useful for this project and can be easily used. You make a hole in the plastic and you put bolt on those small parts on it. Also, as I said, we need relays because the radio control units for these cars, which are meant to run with low voltage, you can burn them if you apply a double voltage to those. So you need to apply regular voltage to radio unit, but then redirect higher voltage using relays into those high performance electrical motors. Actually, these motors are also meant to run with low voltage, but they can be used with from 3 to 6 volts, so they're not gonna burn. And if they get burned, they are cheap to replace, but it's a lot of fun to burn something and break something, and it's a good project to play with kids, or if you're already have enough, if you are at the age that you can do it yourself. It's also an interesting thing. Use your imagination, use your skills. It's a challenging project. It's a challenge to be able to fit parts that are not meant to be in this car and in any small car. It's even interesting to apply more power to small cars because they are a lot of fun to play with in the mud, on the sand, and the feeling when you get the achievement when your car, which doesn't run on the sand, starts running on the sand or runs much faster than meant to run, or if you have another car and you achieve that this car runs faster than the other car, it's just a lot of emotions, and I just suggest you to do this kind of projects. Also, you will learn things about electronics, you will learn about electrical elements, how they work, you'll learn new things about mechanics, and it's a lot of interesting things, and I'll try to help you in that. Let's go through this together.